So, all right. So basically, and I'm just trying to find letting everybody know we're here, first of all. Um, all right. So I'm just going to email what I wanted to show today over to my email address so I can pull it up. All right. And let me shut this stupid alarm up because it's being annoying. All right. So the first and most important thing is today is typically the brokerage training day. And so we're going to start with that. The most important um, thing to do. So, as you know, you've been an agent for a while, and I think Will has as well. So, most of the people I have done a little bit of it. Um, Representing buyers is great. That is, I like representing sellers, but I'm going to give you a couple buyers that I have that I'm involved with but don't want to represent. Um, because I don't want to be on the street anymore. I'm trying to make that transition and be the non-competing broker. We are looking for when we're dealing with buyers. So the first and most important thing is everyone you talk to gets a consumer notice. That is essential. And I'm going to log into Zip Forms and show you what that is. And by the way, everyone here who is licensed or is getting licensed, understand May 31st is your date, your deadline to get your license renewed, which means your continuing ed has to be done before that. If you're a new agent, if this is your first renewal, there's special classes you can take. If you're a returning agent, you're not renewing for the first time, there's more flexibility in what you take. We can cover the exact topics separately, but that's the most important thing is that do not let May 31st. And Glenn, this is a good question for you in your situation because if you do your CE now, do you then have to do it again in 60 days, basically?
That
Um,
that's I don't know. I have to
yeah. So
didn't think about that.
yeah, I mean, because I mean, and there is, you're in a gray area, but if you were just getting licensed in 2026, if you were just taking your license, you wouldn't have to because there is like a 6 month exemption. But because you're kind of coming back to licensing, I don't know. So I do all of them. I love Larry Del Grotto as a broker teacher. I love Dave Wychalk as a teacher. In person classes. Those guys are local. I've got a lady down in Philly that I've talked to a few times about that. She also does her classes live, training classes on Zoom or some platform. When I go to do continuing ed, I just come here. So um, I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm teaching a class. What's up? All right, I'm back. So the CE shop is where I do all my CEs. I just don't even bother. Um, because just go here and you go into you go in, you buy it. If you're a first time person, it knows what your first time person stuff has to be. Um, and that's and they also do some cool charity stuff. The other thing I wanted to show is that everyone gets a consumer notice. This is in okay, so in technicality, when you first speak to somebody on the phone, the state has this little paragraph of crap you're supposed to say that is it's a verbal consumer notice. You're supposed to follow it up with this as soon as you can, but they have a specific set of words. I never use those specific set of words. I don't think anyone does because they're bad set of words. I just say, "Hi, I'm a licensed agent. I am not your agent until we sign paperwork. Therefore, we don't have confidentiality between each other. Therefore, don't tell me how desperately you need this until we sign paperwork." And especially if I represent the seller, I say, "Well, I represent the seller. You want to be a buyer. Please don't tell me your deep, dark secrets." Then they get this. And the weird thing about this, you don't touch this document at all. Nothing about it changes. If we're off market, if we're not doing um, listing MLS, we can use the non-MLS version, but it's really the same thing. The state wrote the words, we don't touch the words. You send it out by DocuSign or digital, or you present it to them. If they don't sign it, you write on it, not sign, refuse to sign, chose not to sign, whatever, date it, sign it yourself. Still put it in the system for us to be able to store. And I will show you how things get stored better and how you're supposed to organize things. But the very least you need to do is you need to email it to gpghrealty@gmail.com. That goes directly into our paperless pipeline account, and it is stored forever. So we're able to prove to the state that, hey, we presented it, and if it's in person and you present the paper and they don't sign it, what they do or don't, use your phone scanner or your camera, preferably your phone scanner. PDFs are better than pictures. Get it into GPGH Realty. Everything goes into GPGH Realty. Even if I also get a copy of it, it goes to both. Like, if you're sending it to me to review, which you should, you send it to Steve at Good People Good Homes, you're also sending it here. And guys, I'll be straight up. Number one, forgetting the fact that we are all going to be in trouble if we don't have these paperwork when the state comes to look. You won't be getting your check when the state comes when the closing happens. You won't be getting your check if you don't do this. I will withhold your check. And if I have one agent that has been a very bad boy as far as submitting his papers, I'm after which he will no longer be with my firm. Tell the state why. So filing your papers is key. Start with a consumer notice. If you use the off-market consumer notice, remember we also have to do the Pennsylvania disclosure for the recovery fund. I'll walk you through that. It's fine. Then, if they're a buyer, you don't take any client action. This does not make them a client. You don't take any client action without an agreement. They're either a listing agent, a listing client, or they're a buyer client. Without either one of those documents, they are still a customer. They are not our person. So you're going to either have a listing contract with them, or you're going to have a buyer agency agreement. Buyer agency agreements, I love them. And by the way, you can go into your zip forms and you can template these out so they all show up as you. This is an old one for me. The buyer agency agreement, we prefer them to be exclusive. They don't have to be exclusive. So that's fine as long as we and they are to be done technically by par rules. Every single property is a different buyer agency agreement, even if you have an exclusive agreement. I always write my buyer agency agreements as we're talking about this property and any other properties brought between the parties. But even with that, the next property, they get another one, this particular property or any other property brought. So that way we're covering ourselves for discussing other properties that may not go anywhere. But when it's time to actually take action on a property, you bring out a new buyer agency agreement. The important parts of the buyer agency agreement, of course, are the dates cannot be more than 365 days apart, or the listing agreement. The commission, whatever we've agreed to, and a $315 transaction coordination fee. Just making sure they're okay. If they're not, talk to me. We can negotiate, but this is where we start everything. And technically, according to NAR's new rules, you're not supposed to show a house if they haven't signed a BAC. As Will found out, there's even a downside to going there without a BAC because they show up and then they don't want to sign, and well, they're already there anyway. So we like to get that signed beforehand, but if we're older, we're okay, fine. So you got to have the paperwork has to be set up right and organized and whatever, especially with anything license related. Pennsylvania, your license, Glenn, your license is always on. But wholesaler rolled out there, units 1, 2, 3, and 4 need a license. Everything else does not. So we can help you if you're unlicensed, but if unit 1, 2, 3, and 4, we have to be doing. So it's the rules are different if you're not licensed. Okay, so you can use our DocuSign. You can use your DocuSign. We can also have you use the. Eventually, we can get you into the Go High Level signing software. This is where all of our videos go. Steve Franco REI, my YouTube channel. This is what we're doing right now is going here. So there's a lot of resources here, especially under the live tab. You can see that wonderful shot of me of the class we did yesterday. And so there's a lot of resources there. Now, to hit the ground running, boots down, is leads. Now, yes, you should be generating your own leads. You should be finding people to call, and you should be out there. You should have a Facebook page that is a business page. We don't want your baby mama. We don't want your parties. We want you to be a real estate professional on this. So we want you to do. Here's my personal page, which is really not that different. To what I have on my professional page, but here's my main professional page. Okay, actually wants to switch over. It's important on your, especially on your professional page. And I'm saying it's important, but I can tell you right now that I'm violating it because that is no longer the name of my firm. We are supposed to be very prominent on your page. Brokerage, phone number. So I actually have to update this. I haven't looked at this in so long, but I have to update this for myself. We need to be there. You've got to remember in your marketing, we are always equally prominent, meaning same size, basically, to you. It can't be Glenn Kipps and Glenn's number in big letters and Gorilla in itty bitty tiny print and Gorilla's phone number. No, we have to be the same. We have to equally. The state says equally prominent. The only way to interpret that I know is font size and font weight. If you've got bold and 24 point, we're in bold and 24 point. If you're 24 point and regular, we don't have to be any larger. So all of your things, and what you're doing here is you're stealing content. You're posting content. You're not stealing content. You're posting content very frequently, which I'm kind of not that consistent at. About real estate and about this. Who are you? What are you? You're making yourself visible. I have content you can use. Joe Scarice has content you can use. Just if you take somebody else's content, give credit. You want the same thing on your Instagram or your LinkedIn is great. You definitely want LinkedIn. The point is here is where you post real estate things from. And you go into groups and so forth from here. You want to be in real estate investor groups. You want to be in what's right about Pittston, what's wrong about Glen Lyon, whatever. You want to be in those local groups, and you want to bring value to those groups. You want to answer people's questions. You want to, you want to become friendly as well, but you want to be making comments that relate to your business. This is how you get people calling you. This is one of the ways you get people calling you. So you want to be doing that. You want to be getting people to work with you. You want to be getting people to say, I want you to represent me. I want you to be my agent. I want you to be my seller's agent, my buyer's agent. Whatever. You know, you want to be visible. If you're a wholesaler, turn up the visibility. But there would be no broke agents if everyone thought like a good wholesaler, meaning going after sellers, um, motivated sellers, and so on and so forth. We have a list here. And those of you who have, oh, that's not a list. Okay, we have a list somewhere. I forget where I put it, but that is in a couple counties that is pre foreclosures. Um, oh yeah, I had a long drive back from Bethlehem last night. I'm a little bit tired, but anyway. So we have a list of pre foreclosures. They will need to be skip traced. You can use our skip trace for service for $1.75 a lead, and you can do it for 5 days for free. So Glenn, this might be a great place to start. Go through and skip trace this group and start calling them. We have the scripts for you to call them that you can use for that. And all of our scripts and tools, if you don't already have the link, I can send it to you, are in the here's our voicemail script. If you have to leave a voicemail, here's our text script. Here's our main script. And you're not doing these scripts verbatim. These scripts are guidelines. By the way, back to the YouTube channel. Ryan and I did this, where we faked calls. I was the seller. He's like, well, that's what that is. So you want to hear how calls are supposed to go? Back to our YouTube channel. It is all there. Here's the questions that you want to ask people when you're talking about their property. This is how you find out. And again, it is not you're not reading a soap opera, you're living a life. So the order of the questions doesn't matter. Getting the information does. If the seller wants to tell you about their bunions and whatever, and you think it's valuable, listen to their story. Obviously don't get it stupid, but they need to know that sorry, I just remember something on a closing that's happening like now. Did not check to see if they'd done the pickup stuff of the final cleaning. So sorry. Okay, so they need to know all that you are there for them. They need to know that you're their friend, that you're interested, that you're trying to solve their problem. Meanwhile, you're trying to get all the answers to these questions. Meanwhile, you're trying to read through the script. And then when you get the information, you're not trying to fill in the form, but here's the form where the information goes when you get it. This is how we start a deal. Um, and you put the information in here. And then you look at this carefully. There's a lot of questions you didn't get from the seller on this. Why are you looking to sell? Current mortgage, seller financing condition, da da da. You're getting all that. Are there tenants? Seller can tell us a lot of this stuff. By the way, if there's already an agent on the field, we're done. As a seller's agent or as a wholesaler, not as a buyer's agent, obviously. Um, Mortgage questions, whatever they know, they'll never know it all. But here's where you start doing the work: Google link, Zillow link, Google Maps link, ARV. We have tools for doing that, Glenn. We have MLS for those who are licensed. We also have batch leads, which I can get you if you already have passwords for. And you put the address in here, boom. It will then show you the property here. And then you can go comparables. And we have whole videos on YouTube for this. I'm rushing through it because most everyone has already seen it. But filter, and then here are the comps. So if it's a property that we don't have the MLS for, you don't have the MLS for, you can use this. You use Zillow information. You don't use Zillow's estimate. Nothing. The pop-up that shows the property and shows this estimate, you click behind that and use the tools on that page to find actual sold comps. Not sold, we don't care. And you're using the link to the drive for pictures or upload your pictures. What do you think the rehab is and why? We have math for that. Video uploads, Google Street, flood zone. Flood zone's another one. All of our resources are on REI homepage. Oop. All of our resources are on REI homepage under resources, and there's more resources coming, but flood zone is one of them. Put the address in. And you're answering the question of flood zone, and what you're answering is, if it's marked off with colors, it will show you the chart down bottom as to what it is. If there's no color, there's no lettering, then you're not in a hazard area. If it's in blue, anything with an A is we can still do the deal, but it's not a great flood zone. So you're going through the form and you're uploading your files or images they gave. Some of the questions are redundant. We're working on eliminating that. Boom. You're hitting submit. And then it's going, and then you're going to call us up and say, hey guys, I submitted this property. The bottom line is, if you, and people have a habit of doing this because every human in the world is lazy, fill in the address and the basic information and then say, click, I'm done. I can't be paying you your full commission.
Knock it off.
In the comps, I'll show you how. We'll hold your hand until you know how. Alex, you would if you're come on live and you don't have to call me. I am live Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays every single week. Well, almost without exception. So if you're here, you're live. Come on board. Just make a little joke because Alex just called me. He's like, are you live? I'm like, yep, like I am every whatever. Which I do miss. I do go late, but whatever. All right, so basically, that is how. And it's weird, Alex. You always seem to come up like it says device is not connected. So I'm never sure if you're able to see it or not. So what we've done now is we've now put it all in the system. What I was saying before is if you just say, "Hey, here's a couple pictures. Good luck, Steve." I'm not sure how to pay you for that. And don't put in here if you haven't talked to the seller.
Hold on. Just mute the mic for a second.
Okay. Don't put in here if you haven't talked to a seller. Alex posted a couple pictures and said, "Hey, let's look into this deal." I said, "Okay." What's the seller say? "Oh, I can't reach him." Okay. So if we don't know the seller wants to play, there's nothing for me to do. If we have an interested seller, that's when I get involved. I will sit on the phone with you. I'm not going to sit there while you dial and get hung up on. I will. So you tell me, "Hey, I'm calling from 11 to 1 tomorrow." I'll be available from 11 to 1 tomorrow. And when you get someone, boom, I'm available whenever you guys need me. But the point is, the more information you have here, we have other videos that talk about how to update the information because you're never going to have it all at once in the CRM. That's great. So within, trying to find backspace again. Where'd it go? Too much crap on my screen. Um, you can make lists. There are great videos done by Backleads on how to make lists. And we have lists in Backleads of things you can call. You can simply go, click, boom, click again, and hit call now, and you're dialing someone. We're also going to be upgrading to a back dialer. Will I do not forget? I'll try to do that tomorrow. So it'll auto dial the numbers. It just makes it a little faster. I mean, this is 4 or 5 clicks to make a phone call. That is really automated, basically. So that's kind of the overview. Now, Glenn, and anybody who hasn't done calls before, you're doing this, you hit call now, or you're using your own phone or whatever, and that's when you're referring to the script. You're getting on the phone with somebody, and you're going through the script. You're building a rapport with them. And for anyone that wants to hear what it sounds like, go to our videos. It's these two. Why are there two? This is horizontal format, that's vertical format. But they're the same event where Ryan and I played opposites of each other. So you want to hear how a script is supposed to sound? Roughly, that's what you're going to get, basically. So you want to be dialing the numbers. You want to be contacting people. And you want to be engaging in conversations. We also have, and I know for a lot of you, this is like too much information. It's information overload, but it's also it's for us. It's a matter of variety and choice. And that's we have this list here, which this one is going to need to be skip traced. The person who's teaming up with us on this list doesn't have phone numbers. So we're going to get a script taste and then we can call it. These are pre-foreclosures. We will have a conversation. If you decide you want to do that, we'll talk to you about that. We have a list of self-storage facilities and we have their own script. We have a land operating system tool that does nothing but land. We have lots of options. Okay. There is no shortage of you guys having somebody to call. It just doesn't there is no option that would be there is no option by which you will not have someone to call or not. And generating your own leads is part of it. I mean, we're providing data as a bump, but feel free to do whatever else you want to do as far as generating leads. We are also broker white label consultants, put it that way, for many loan programs. We have zero interest business credit cards, zero interest business lines of credit. Call them, they don't call them credit cards. We have these kinds of loan programs, bridge, renovation, ground up, rental, where we get paid a piece of the pie. On the zero interest stuff, we get paid like $500 a deal and we split that 50-50 with you. On this stuff, we get paid between 1 and 3%. And I'll discuss that with those of you who want to do this, you know, exactly when it's 1, 2, and 3. And all what you're doing for one is very simple. You're giving information like this to the person, but not exactly this. I'll explain why. And you're getting them to fill out the application, and then the company handles the rest. We don't do shit. For twos and threes, they want us to be babysitting the client, and for that, now you really it's only taking you on an average deal 6 to 10 hours. So if it's $100,000 property, just to make everyone understand the points, if it's 1 point, it's 1%. Our fee is $1,000. If we're 50-50, your fee is $500. So if it takes you 5 hours and you get paid $500, you're making $100 an hour. It takes you less, you make more. But the point is, yeah. So we have this new company we're working through. You know, they have all the way down to 640 as far as credit score. There are ways underneath that if people aren't what their loan to value. So we have all the tools here, and Joe Scarice is our sort of man behind the curtain on this stuff. Now, what Joe is also able to give us is he's also able to give us the sorry, I just realized something else I needed for that stupid closing. All right, so I'm going to have to jump on that. But what he's also able to give us is the what do I call it? We give him zip codes, and he will give us phone numbers and contact information for people who have done investor deals in those zip codes before. Lending is an easy thing to initially sell. It's simple as pie because everybody wants money. Okay. Hi, you go on Facebook, go to an investor group. Hi, I offer lending. The floodgates will open. You will be drowning in people who want money. It's just the way it is. The process from there to closing, you may not be able to help them in their specific deal. They may not have the credit to do the deal. The deal might not make sense. They may not like our term sheet. There's lots of ways it may not close, but the front end is easy. Call up an investor. Hey, now you're a commodity. There's a billion other people calling, but what sets us apart is that we're direct. Okay, so we have some firms we broker with as well, but with this group, we are direct to the inside senior president of East Coast operations or whatever the hell title they gave Joe this time. And it's the hedge fund's money. We're not a broker for a bunch of different hedge funds loaning money. Joe sits in the office with the people who actually it's their dollars. So we're direct. We're what's called a direct private lender. Now you can't do this with a regular bank. If you're referring people to a regular bank lender, we can't get paid unless you're mortgage licensed. Whole separate conversation. With this, we don't need a license because we're internal. So we can give better rates. We can very often give better terms. And well, you'll get the conversations going with this. There'll be a lot less hangups, a lot less not interested. Will it come the other way? I don't know. But the beautiful thing is this is recurring income. You do a loan with John Smith today. 6 months later, John needs another loan. If he goes direct to the company, we're out. If he calls you, you fill out the application that goes in, and you're playing the same role. We get paid again. So it's very easy. You take care of your lender, you take care of your borrowers. They will take care of you. So just to hit the ground running, Glenn, this gives you a lot of different options to a lot of different options to get started with. So right now, what I want everyone to do is check with me if you have any questions. Check with me if you need data, if you want data, whatever. Glenn, I'll get you set up with data later today. I do have to run on this last minute errand I forgot about for this closing today. Um, and yeah, so any questions?
Not this time, no.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to jump on this and take care of this other thing because I'm kind of under the gun on it. Glenn, I'll send you some data and you can start calling. And you have, I think you already have this sheet. I think I already sent you this. I'll send it to you right now just in case you don't have it. And all right, we'll go from there.
All righty.
All right, cool. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.